Koji Kondo is a legendary Japanese composer and sound designer. Best known for his work at Nintendo, he was the first person hired by the company specifically for music composition, and his soundtracks for the Nintendo Entertainment System helped define the sound of early video games. Kondo's primary contribution was creating memorable, catchy melodies that could be endlessly looped without becoming tiresome, a crucial skill given the hardwire limitations of the NES's sound chip. He not only composed the music, but also had a hand in sound programming and effects. Punch-Out in 1984, his first major project, Koji Kondo, showcasing his ability to create energetic rhythmic tunes. Kondo's contributions to the Punch-Out franchise actually began with the original 1984 arcade game, while the music for the later, more famous NES version was primarily composed and arranged by Kenji Yamamoto, Yukio Kaneoka, and Akito Nakatsuka. The iconic round start fanfare played at the beginning of each round was actually originally composed by Koji Kondo for the arcade version. This short, energetic jingle was reused in the NES game, connecting his early work to the title's enduring legacy. Even with the limited sound capabilities of the NES, the Punch-Out soundtrack is celebrated for its ability to capture the atmosphere of a boxing match. The music is designed to be high energy and exciting, perfectly complementing the fast-paced gameplay. While Koji Kondo's direct involvement in the NES version was limited to a single theme, the game's overall score reflects a key stylistic element that would become a hallmark of Nintendo's sound design: character-specific melodies. So the soundtrack uses brief, memorable themes to introduce each opponent, often incorporating musical cliches that relate to their nationality. For example, the Japanese-inspired theme of Piston Honda. Kondo's early work on the arcade version of Punch-Out was a launchpad for his career. The experience helped him develop his knack for creating catchy, functional game music that would define a character and set a mood in just a few notes. This skill would become even more apparent in his subsequent groundbreaking work like Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda, where his ability to craft memorable looping melodies for different environments and characters became central to the player's experience. Super Mario Bros. Now, in 1985, was the groundbreaking soundtrack that made Koji Kondo a household name. The original Super Mario Bros. Soundtrack consists of just a handful of looping themes, yet each is instantly recognizable and perfectly synchronized with the on-screen action. Kondo actually composed all of the music and sound effects for this game, and the key songs are the ground theme, of course. This is the most famous song in the entire soundtrack, known for its upbeat Latin-inspired rhythm. Then the underground BGM. This is a slower, more mysterious track that creates a sense of depth and exploration. The underwater BGM is a little more tranquil. It's a floating melody that perfectly captures the feeling of being submerged. And then the Invincibility BGM is a more frenetic, high-energy tune that plays when Mario grabs a superstar. The Castle BGM is an ominous, hurried theme that signals the player is nearing the end of a world. And then the World Clear and Course Clear, though brief, are celebratory jingles that mark a successful level completion. Now, The Legend of Zelda in 1986 was an equally iconic score that established a sense of adventure and exploration. Koji Kondo's work on the 1986 The Legend of Zelda soundtrack for the NES is arguably as impactful as his work on Super Mario Bros. While he composed far fewer individual pieces for Zelda, they were designed to create a sense of adventure, exploration, and mystery that would become a defining characteristic of the series. The most famous piece from the soundtrack is the Overworld theme. This majestic, heroic melody has become the unofficial anthem of the entire Zelda franchise, and is one of the most recognizable pieces of video game music ever created. Interestingly, this theme was composed under pressure. Originally, Kondo and the team, he had planned to use Maurice Ravel's Bolero as the title theme. However, just before the game's release, they discovered that the copyright for Ravel's work had not yet expired. In a single night, Kondo famously wrote the now iconic overworld theme to replace it. He based the new theme on the in-game dungeon theme, which gave the soundtrack a cohesive feel and is a testament to his genius and ability to create under immense pressure. With The Legend of Zelda, Kondo shifted his focus from the cheerful, upbeat, and rhythmic style of Super Mario Bros. To a more mature and atmospheric sound. The music was designed to evoke a sense of grand adventure and mystery, reflecting the game's focus on exploration. Key aspects of his work on The Legend of Zelda should be mentioned. Firstly, a sense of place. So the soundtrack creates a strong sense of place. The overworld theme inspires a feeling of open-world adventure, while the underground or dungeon theme is claustrophobic and tense. The Ganon's theme, the theme of Ganon, it's ominous and foreboding. Each piece helps the player understand their location and really the mood of the area. The power of repetition is also an implication here of Koji Kondo's legacy on the Legend of Zelda soundtrack. The soundtrack creates a strong, with Mario, Kondo's melodies were designed to loop for long periods without becoming annoying. They are catchy but subtle enough to not distract from the gameplay. Technological innovation should also be mentioned. The Famicom Disk System, for which the game was originally released, had an extra sound channel compared to the original NES, so this allowed Kondo to use more complex, richer sounds, which he used to create the distinct, almost laser-like sound of Link's sword, and other effects. Kondo's music for The Legend of Zelda is the foundation of the series' musical identity. The overworld theme has been reorchestrated, remixed, and adapted in nearly every subsequent Zelda game, and his compositions from the original game have been endlessly referenced and built upon by other composers. His work on this title solidified his place as a pioneer of video game music, demonstrating that a soundtrack could be a crucial part of a game's storytelling and emotional impact. Now, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, or as it was known in Japan in 1986, Super Mario Bros. 2. So the music is nearly identical to the original Super Mario Bros. The soundtrack for The Lost Levels is a fascinating case study in musical constraints and reuse because of the game's direct lineage from the first Super Mario Bros. That is why it's due to this fact that its soundtrack is actually almost identical. So the reused music, all of the main themes, the ground theme, underground BGM, and the underwater BGM, are all the exact same melodies from the original Super Mario Bros. This was a practical choice, as the game was built on the same engine and intended as a direct continuation. So the new game over and ending themes, really, while most of the music is a direct copy, Koji Kondo did compose a new game over theme, and most notably a much longer and more complex ending theme. This extended ending song was created to reward players for completing this incredibly challenging game. It features a more elaborate arrangement and a sense of finality that was absent from the original game's short ending jingle. The decision to reuse the music from the first game was actually a deliberate one. It reinforced the idea that The Lost Levels was a true sequel, picking up right where the original left off. It also allowed Kondo to focus on creating new music for other projects that were in development at the same time, such as The Legend of Zelda. In essence, the soundtrack for The Lost Levels serves to highlight Koji Kondo's genius, not only as a composer, but also as a sound designer who understands when to innovate and when to rely on a proven iconic formula. The familiar tunes immediately place the player back in the world of Super Mario Bros., while the new ending theme provides a unique and well-deserved sense of accomplishment for those who manage to conquer its brutal difficulty. Now, lastly, I want to talk about Super Mario Bros. 3, which came out in 1988. A more ambitious soundtrack with diverse themes for each of the game's worlds. While Kondo's previous Mario soundtracks were masterpieces of simplicity, Super Mario Bros. 3 allowed him to create a more diverse and varied musical experience. Compared to the first two Mario games, the Super Mario Bros. 3 features a much larger and more ambitious soundtrack. The game's structure, with its themed worlds, gave Kondo the opportunity to create really original, unique musical motifs. For each, he moved beyond the core ground, underground, and underwater themes to compose distinct music for different environments and gameplay scenarios. So, some notable musical themes from Super Mario Bros. 3 are actually the world map themes. Each of the 8 worlds has its own unique map music, from the jaunty, upbeat grassland theme to the more subdued and mysterious waterland theme. Unique level themes as well. Kondo composed new, separate themes for different types of levels. For example, there's a new athletic theme for levels with a focus on jumping and fast-paced action, and a distinct airship theme that adds a sense of urgency to the sky-based levels. The Hammer Bros theme is a short but memorable theme, and it plays when a Hammer Bro or a similar enemy appears on the world map, creating a sense of immediate tension. And then the minigame and bonus themes, the Super Mario Bros. 3's minigames, like the Toad Houses and the matching card game, all have their own unique, catchy music. In an interview, Koji Kondo reflected on the challenge of composing Super Mario Bros. 3. He said the main theme was particularly difficult because he had to create something that would be as iconic and memorable as the original Super Mario Bros. Theme, but also different enough to feel fresh and new. He worked closely with Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka, the game's designers, going through many different pieces of music before they finally settled on the final version. This process highlights how deeply intertwined the music and gameplay were in Nintendo's design philosophy. Kondo's work on Super Mario Bros. 3 proved that he could expand the musical vocabulary of the Mario series. He demonstrated that the limitations of the NES could be used to create a rich and varied sonic palette, and his compositions helped to give each world of the game its own distinct personality. The soundtrack is celebrated for its diversity and for the way it perfectly complements the game's whimsical and imaginative design. Koji Kondo now is often referred, and this is where I'll end, is often referred to as the John Williams of gaming due to the enduring popularity and cultural impact of his music. His work has transcended the video game medium, being performed by symphony orchestras and recognized by institutions like the Library of Congress. In fact, the ground theme from Super Mario Bros. Was the first piece of video game music to be included in the National Recording Registry, cementing its place in musical history. Kondo's legacy is one of innovation within constraints. He proved that video game music could be more than just background noise, and his use of rhythm, melody, and clever sound design created an emotional connection between the player and the game world. He laid the foundation for countless video game composers who followed, and his melodies continue to be celebrated and remixed to this day.